Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's season 2. Welcome to the Wolf's Den Radio Show. We're back. Oh, wait, forgot the. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wolf's Den Radio Show with your host, Wolf King, and Chazwell Almighty, and Xbox Fiend. Although that motherfucker is out, so we got Hades to replace him currently. We're gonna hit you with that good old-fashioned rational thought and empiricism as we analyze news from an independent perspective. Bow, wow, wow. Okay. So to get started, we got, let's see, what do we have? We got Ken Ham and his inspired little project, and a comment on his former opponent Bill Nye during the earlier debate. Let's give a hear and listen.
Taking into people how to understand evidence, how all evidence is interpreted based upon your starting point, and that believing in evolution of millions of years, that's Bill Nye's starting point. That's his belief. That's his religion, and made that very, very clear during the debate. That's why I think that Bill Nye and other sectors like him don't publicize, or make available the debate DVDs and encourage people to watch it. He just goes out there and put out his book and tries to slam us and tries to make out that creation is nothing about science and so on. Makes just a lot of statements because he's attacking our position. It shows an increasing, and this is what's happening with our art project, by the way, Tim. It shows an increasing intolerance out there of these people who oppose us. They're intolerant of the Christians, and yet the Christians who are tolerant of these people in their positions. We don't agree with them, but we're tolerant, but it's these people that are increasingly intolerant against Christians.
But you're doing an ARK project similar to, just in terms of its how much it costs and such like that. It's very similar to the Creation Museum, I think. But what's it going to be? Where is it going to be? When will it be open? All that good stuff.
Actually, because it's 2015 now, the life-size Noah's Ark, and that's what it is. It's a life-size Noah's Ark that we're building out of wood, so it's 500 feet long, 85 feet wide, 45 feet high. It's going to stand 12 feet off the ground, so it's going to stand 7 stories high. You're going to be able to walk under it, and then into it, and then walk through exhibits, answering questions like that, and know the animals on the Ark, and so on, all the way through the whole Ark. Even going to be a restaurant right on top of the Ark, actually. It's under construction right now. It'll be opened in 2016. And this is going to be, I believe it's going to be one of the greatest evangelistic outreaches of our day, of our era history. And the atheists are opposing it in a big way. We've got a big conflict with the state of Kentucky right now over religious freedom issues and free exercise of religion in regard to this project. People can read about that on our website. I'm sure it's going to be headline news and more in the next few weeks.
All right, so that was Ken Ham talking about. We were talking about creation and evolution and stuff like that, and about how he's so down for science, and he rejects evolution, and and secularists like Bill Nye make go out and make creationism look ridiculous, and like they don't know anything about science, and they're trying to educate the public by opening up this Noah's Ark theme park or something. But they're having a conflict with the state of Kentucky because they're not going to want to fund this little project, don't want to throw any tax money their way in it. And it's not that they're against creationism, they're against wasting their money on bullshit. I mean, this is obviously coming at your starting point, which is your religious belief. And as far as the government is concerned, it's a secular nation. That's how it operates. It doesn't waste money on stuff like this. It's entirely inclusive, and it doesn't try to uphold like a particular religion, because Congress makes no law to respect the establishment of religion. But what do you guys think? I'm curious.
Well, you see, the problem is the way Christians frame it is that it's like that law is there to protect the religion from the government, not the government from the religion. So they're not going to think that that rule ever applies to them. And if you ever say, well, no, these people, the reason why they put that in there was because they wanted, you know, religion and politics to remain separate, people won't accept that. And what they're going to do from that point onwards is just continually bitch and sulk whenever they don't get their own way. And want to say, my book tells me that this is how the way things should be. You know, you can't kill that fetus. Oh, certainly don't use its stem cells for any of that good work, like, you know, healing the sick. None of that. God like likes disease.
And the whole concept behind it is that you're obviously trying to use this to support religion, and if you believe that, you know, that a magic man in the sky created everything, fine. But as far as science goes, you know, there are scientific laws, you know, that all processes follow, including biological processes, and how species diversified is through evolutionary biological processes. So, you know, we could observe and test that. We actually can demonstrate evolution occurring in laboratories, and, you know, and also in nature. I mean, that's just a fact of reality. That's what separates science and religion. You know, you can demonstrate one. Oh yeah, and by the way, welcome Nick. How you doing, man? Do you want to give your 2 cents on this?
Yeah, shut up with all that hooey. I'm gonna get up a tax collection so I can build the castle from Harry Potter. Think I can get that funded? That's pretty much what they're asking to get funded, just because a bunch of people are believing it.
That was going to be my point as well. Where do you draw the line with that as well?
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't get tax funding at all. It can't get supported by.
Yeah, that was my point. Money. Yeah, that was my whole point.
Because there are tons of Christians who aren't young Earth creationists who don't agree with the things that he says. Should he get their money too, just because they're Christians? That's not fair either. I mean, that's the point. Is it's not just, oh, we're atheists, we don't like your God thing, you have to not do it. This is more of a case of no one wants to be involved with this.
Right.
And you can't force them.
Yeah, if they have enough to fund it on their own, so be it. Fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem with them.
And we'll even go and buy a ticket just to go in and make YouTube videos mocking the shit that's in there, doing our own version of that woman, you know, who was in the History Museum. This guy,
Megan Fox.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the real Megan Fox.
Both have the same intellect.
One's just little.
Oh, now that's unfair to Megan Fox.
Yeah, that is unfair to me.
Which make? Oh yeah. The Megan Fox that's not hot and didn't star in any of the Transformer movies. Yeah, but honestly, this is just like
Really?
Like,
you think the one in Transformers is the hot one?
You think the one that comments on science is the hot one?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, man. She is a real fucking. You're just such a judgmental person, you misogynist. You know, she doesn't live up to your idealized standards of beauty. No, she's a perfectly beautiful creature on the inside.
This come from the guy whose country produced the Victorian era. What the hell was that about?
What do you mean? What was that about?
It
was about saying sex is really, really bad and shouldn't be spoken about, whilst blatantly just having sex as much as possible.
I know, that's why I would rather live in the Victorian era.
Right.
They talk the shit, but they were pretty crazy.
Yeah, and dude, okay, just going back to the whole Noah's Ark thing. I was actually in 2 hangouts. One with one G-Man and the other one like Brett Keane, right? Both hangouts actually, most of them consisted of creationists, and they actually tried to make a case for like inbreeding and stuff like that, and like koalas and kangaroos like somehow getting into the Middle East. I mean, what the fuck? This is not science. Like, none of this is actually possible physically.
And yeah, inbreeding shows to cause birth defects, but most of the time it actually performs like stillbirth and stuff. Like, the populations wouldn't survive necessarily.
Right, I mean...
Oh no, the amount of problems, you'd get beings that just couldn't survive
Right.
being born.
Yeah.
Like, so deformed children that don't even have hands, they just have kind of stumps. Yeah, and they would go sterile as well.
Yeah, but this is a science. This is science that Ken Ham wants to pass on to students. Yeah, somehow 8 people can produce like 6 billion of us, and the same goes for every other animal on and every other species on planet Earth. Apparently, you could start with 2, and like it could really work. Like species can diversify somehow. I mean, that's complete bullshit. Evolution, bitch.
See, the funny thing is at the time of the flood, there was stuff going on in England
and Egypt
and the rest of the world that couldn't have happened if there was a ginormous flood. It is a bunch of fucking nonsense. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you want to be the type of person who believes there's God and all of that, then you're welcome to do so. You're not welcome to try and bitch moan it its way into science by going, oh, they're not letting me have a seat at the table. Yeah, well, at the moment you're crapping your pants and using the colouring in book, mate. You sit with the children until you learn to act like a grown-up.
Yeah. And see, really, honestly, I'm getting to the idea that I think the supernatural can be tested, and creationism had its chance, and really, it just went to shit. I mean, at best, the only thing we had with this is a whole Aaron true fuckface thing with the sequential specified information. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I mean, yeah, you could say information is in DNA, but that's how chemical reactions work and how they follow basic regularities. I mean, that's how we could find different genes in various species that demonstrate common ancestry, and descent with modification are actually real things. That's what fossils and DNA demonstrates. All you have is like one moldy ass book that can't prove anything.
Which they don't have all of the versions of. They can't prove who actually authored them. Basically, I think the message people should take from this hangout, is if you want a book that's going to tell you to submit your will to somebody else, to experience pain and torture, to then be promised pleasure at the end of it, then you should be reading 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, but speaking of a book, we're actually moving on. Speaking of a book, we actually have... Okay, we got Brian Fisher, and he's going to defend religious liberty through a book that a Christian wrote for something. Hold on.
What you the story back when he got suspended, he got in trouble because he wrote a book that expresses our view, a biblical view, of sexuality. He wrote it for a men's Bible study in his own church. And he called homosexuality what it is, a sexual perversion, something that is unclean according to the scripture. He self-published this book. He gave it to some friends. He even gave it to some of the friends in the fire department. Well, when the word got an openly gay, this is one of the reasons why, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I believe being a homosexual, being an active homosexual should disqualify you from public office because it's a form of sexual perversion. And remember, we're going to have to choose between the gay agenda and Christianity. We can't have both. It's going to have to be one or the other. Here's the case in point. An active homosexual gets a copy of the book on the city council. We got to do something about this. And he goes on a campaign, on a crusade to get this fire chief fired, and he pulled it off. He was fired. He was put on suspension for 30 days, forced to go to re-education camp. I don't know if he did that or not. But the day that his suspension was supposed to be lifted and he was supposed to be free to go back to work, the mayor fired him. And this is what I mean, ladies. And when I talk about the fact that the homosexual agenda is the single greatest threat to Christianity, to Christian liberty, to religious liberty, and to the First Amendment, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, the homosexual agenda is not just a threat to religious liberty; it is a threat to the.
Yeah. Okay. So that was him. And yeah, the last part he was going to say was First Amendment, but yeah, that was was Brian Fisher, like defending this guy this firefighter who apparently made this, like, I guess, like speech or religious sermon about how homosexuality was an abomination. He made it into a book and gave it to like basically his fellow employees at the fire department, and apparently it offended someone and he got fired, and he's getting all butthurt about the religious liberty behind that. Well, that's the issue. We have separation of church and state. You don't friggin' go to your job and proselytize, because that's not what it's about. That's not what it's there for. You're going to your job to perform a function, to sell your labor. I mean, to do that, to even think about doing that is like you're obviously going to start some type of some controversy, because not everyone might share your beliefs. They might be different, and they might also make people feel offended because you're bashing someone's sexuality. That's like discrimination. So that's why that he got fired. I mean,
and
that's
freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences.
exactly. Yeah, but go ahead, build on that, elaborate on that, Nick.
Yeah. I think the thing he said, it was called Attack. The book was called Attacking Homosexual. Are you sure it's not a parody? Was that guy serious?
I believe so. He was in fact serious.
Fucking idiot. Just what he's saying. I don't know, man. It makes my head hurt.
I still can't get over this whole idea that, one man wants to put his cock in another man's bum. Somehow that's going to destroy the world.
Yeah,
well,
I think.
Best for public office on it? Go ahead, or Hades.
Oh, I was going to say, didn't you say it's the biggest threat to the biggest threat to Christianity? I think that's a bit a bit far.
He said homosexuality was the biggest threat to Christianity and the Christian agenda, and also to be gay is like that's that should keep you from public office, and that's complete bullshit. I mean, it's so you want to defend religious liberty, but you want to discriminate against another person for something that is solely subjective. It depends on them, and it doesn't. I mean, that's not really
exactly what your country was built on.
Yeah, right.
No,
like what?
The Puritans left Europe not because of them being persecuted, but because they weren't allowed to go around persecuting others.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but we have rational enlightenment principles and principles of freedom and equality that we should honestly follow now. But I'll be right back. You guys talk about this.
Yeah, that is what it evolved, or supposed to evolve into. That's what the Constitution came from and all that. People finally did get together and said, screw this. This is the same oppression that we were dealing with before, or suppression.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Chaz would agree with me, but pretty much most Christians in Britain are sort of they aren't sort of homophobic or anything like that.
Oh, there are some.
Oh yeah, sure there are, but most Christians. So.
And they vote for UKIP and run for UKIP.
Yeah.
I mean, there is bigotry and homophobia in the world, but it's getting less. Less people care.
I mean, wouldn't you say the biggest threat to Christianity is maybe atheism? I don't know.
I'd say the biggest threat to Christianity is Christianity.
Oh yeah.
I think Christianity's greatest threat is its extremists.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I just can't believe someone still is like that's, I don't know, given a platform.
But do you think people will actually take him seriously though? That's the question. Do people actually take him seriously?
I tell you what though. Yeah. We look for communities of people who think like us. So if he's writing that for his church, yeah, one of two things: either most of the people in the church disagree with him, or not many people agree with him, or he goes to one of those churches full of homophobes
Right.
who will say these types of things.
Yeah.
He's just giving out a pamphlet for people to read on ideas they already think.
Who wants to put a bet that he's secretly gay, closet homosexual?
Oh, they often do turn out to be that way, don't they?
Did anyone hear him actually accidentally say being a homosexual, or was that just me? I'm pretty sure I heard him accidentally say it instead of saying
Yeah, but you could say that and it not be like
oh
a
yeah, no,
Freudian
sure,
slip.
yeah.
But it might have been with him. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, they don't stay closeted forever. They eventually get caught. They often want to.
Alright.
You know, like how sociopaths go into police station to confess to crimes, only to then sort of like retract that afterwards. You know, but they go in there and they try acting all normal because they want the police to catch them. I think it's a bit like that. They come out saying all this really bigoted homosexual stuff because they really want to be just dragged out of the closet. But then they'll go and pray the gay away, won't they?
Yeah, they'll get everybody to rally behind them.
I mean, we were making fun of this shit in the 80s on TV.
Right.
With things like Not the 9 O'Clock News. I mean, Rowan Atkinson did a great bit where he was dressed as a priest. And he was sort of saying, you know, if you do have, you know, the gay, and, you know, you're thinking of coming out of the toilet, so to speak, and, you know, you've tried, you know, reversion therapy and you've tried, you know, hanging weights on your private parts and, you know, you're still getting those urges. It just means that God wants you to have a rotten life. God's like that. He hates puffs.
Yeah. I don't want to change the topic. I don't know if this is a topic, but this is something that that Wolf maybe might want to talk about, or I don't know. But have you heard the news about Russia? This is what it says. Russia says drivers must not have sex disorders, and I think they classify homosexuality, and I think also. Let me give you a link to you guys.
As a sex disorder?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if it goes so far as to say they can't actually have a driver's license. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's a ploy to get people that want their driver's license to give up what their preference is. And
it says Russia has it says Russia has listed transsexual and transgender people among those who will no longer qualify for driving licenses. Yeah, wow.
No.
That's pretty wow, that's pretty crazy.
Alright, I'm back. Okay, so
they'll just get distracted, like stuck in dick. They'll be like, "Oh, I want to drive, but the dick over there," and then like cause accidents or what?
Yeah. That's pretty insane, though.
Sorry to walk back into Wolf.
I mean,
yeah, sorry for changing
we're
the
not
subject.
talking about normal people, though, are we? We're talking about special people who have special beliefs
Yep.
in their special magical god.
Is that where all of Russia's stuff is coming from, or is it just Putin thinks gays are icky? Or is it coming from the religious part of it?
I think it actually may do to be a bit of both, to be honest.
Right.
I think I'm pretty sure Russia is quite a religious country.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty insane, though.
Yeah, if you had a topic to move on to, well, we were just Still in the air.
I don't think he's fully here yet.
Yeah, mine stepped away. Yeah, I'd watched, maybe it was Vice or something that followed the Pussy Riot and stuff like that. And yeah, Russia's really religious.
Yeah, Russia is a quite fucked up part of the world.
Kids getting
I mean,
poured pee on, like they're getting piss poured on them for being gay, like bullied by kids and shit.
All right. Anyway, I'm back now. Okay, now we're done with the Brian Fish with that one Brian Fisher thing. Now, you guys. Now, let me ask you all a question. Now, you all notice how he was, real deep on religious liberty. Oh, how could they stifle this guy's freedom of speech? You notice that, right?
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna.
I don't think they should stifle it, though. I think they should leave it out there and go, look, you see this, kids? This is an example of being a twat. Try not being this in your life, and you'll get on half part. It should be on the curriculum. Teach the kids how not to be a twat.
Right.
Okay, now I got another clip for you featuring Brian Fisher, and now he's gonna have a different spin. It's gonna be in response to this recent terrorist attack in Paris with this magazine place. Let's just listen. Okay.
Now, I'm going to suggest something to you, and this is just for your thinking. Now, I know there's liable to be a lot of blowback from this, and I want to mention that right up front. And I'm not saying that this is what I believe. I'm not saying that. But it's striking to me that if you look at the Ten Commandments, Exodus 20, and this is a commandment that's never been, we said it's still in force today. He says, God speaking through Moses, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Now that's what this magazine, Charlie Hebdo, they made a career out of taking the name of God, the God of the Bible, the Father of the Lord Jesus. They made a career. They made their bones out of taking his name in vain. Now listen to what God says next. Okay, you're not supposed to take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Well, if you do, whose responsibility is it to deal with that? He says, the Lord will not hold him guiltless who uses his name in vain. The Lord himself will not hold guiltless him who takes his name in vain. Now, you look at the Old Testament, what happened to Judah, and God used a pagan nation. I mean, he used idolaters. He used the savage armies of Babylon to discipline his own people. He brought them in as the rod of his wrath to discipline the nation of Judah. They even got carted off to Babylon as a part of his punishment. So he used this pagan, foreign, evil, malicious, wicked nation as a rod of correction and as a rod of discipline for the people of Judah.
Okay, so that was Brian Fisher in response to that terrorist attack in Paris with that magazine place. I believe Hebdo, Charlie Hebdo. Now, what I find interesting about that is that he's basically saying now, okay, so these journalists they basically took the Lord their God in vain or whatever, and that's why they were punished by these Islamic fundamentalists with death and destruction and stuff like that. Because they basically blasphemed against the Abrahamic God of all these religions. Now, see, here's the thing. Now, that might be fine for a personal interpretation, but the fact of the matter is, first of all, it's hypocritical because it's religious liberty for one, when it comes to free speech, but when it's secular, it's a complete double standard. But the main thing is, regardless, we as citizens of the free world have human rights and civil liberties. We have the right to free speech. It has been established through shared cognition and consensus of us as a species. And we don't go, we just don't go after one. And this magazine made it clear that it doesn't discriminate against one particular group. It went after others, not just Islam, but also Catholicism and other churches, with regard to Christianity and others. But the main thing is we have the right to free inquiry and to share our views in the public sphere without threat of persecution or discrimination or violence. Okay, to even give it one iota of coddling or tolerance it would be completely, it would just denigrate the rational enlightenment principles which build our civilization. It would not be a good outcome.
Well, yeah.
But we really got to focus on defending it. And that being said, what you guys think?
Yeah, that's a dangerous game to play whenever you start advocating vigilante justice kind of thing, especially for things like that. I mean, that's nuts. It goes beyond the freedom of speech, and it crosses a bunch of the stuff in the Bible. I mean, he contradicts himself by saying that God won't hold these people to that whatever 10th commandment or whatever he said. But then he's saying that God will use these other people to do it. Well, that's still God causing the control of it. But then on top of that, there's other places in the Bible, I wish I knew the verses, that say pretty much let the sinner sin. Let them, you go away from them. You teach them, you try to talk to them, but if it doesn't get through, then you just move on. You don't try to pull your judgment upon them. You let God do it. I think it was G-Man that I had that big long talk with. He had the verse on one of his hangouts, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. That's all I got to say.
I do remember there being one of them that says something like judgment is reserved only for the Lord. I don't know if that's extra biblical or not, but I'm sure I've heard that out of the mouths of religious people times.
It's James 4:12. And hi.
Hello, Soccer. How are you?
Good.
So how you getting here?
What? How did I get in here?
Yeah.
Ninja.
I invited him.
Well, you are unworthy, so I'll reject you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what do you think? Okay, so what do you think about Brian Fisher? Brian Fisher defending the terrorist attack in Paris due to his religious standards. What do you think of that? Being an Islamic sympathizer.
I don't think that anybody that defends extremism in one viewpoint, in any capacity, I don't agree with.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason I wanted to play those two clips back to back is that it's okay, sure, it's free speech when it's your worldview, but when it's another one that disagrees with you, okay, then there's double standard there. It's free speech up until the point you disagree with me. Then I want to censor you or have you killed because you made me feel bad about my worldview, and it's that's not democracy. That's not how it works. You either be inclusive or no one gets to speak about it. Period. And this response to it is just bad. But what do you think, sir? I mean, no. What do you think, Hades?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on it. Yeah, I don't really know sort of the kind of thing of how to sort of counter that sort of how to really counter it too much. I'm really trying to think of a way, but I think I kind of agree with Soccer as well. I don't really agree with any sort of extremism type of view, or yeah.
The positions that he hold on a lot of things it really disturb me in the sense that he by supporting the terrorism. He supports, the censorship of people. To get away to take people get their right to say and print what they want. Freedom of speech essentially pulled away from them. But this is the same guy that also has come up before in the past and defended the CIA, saying that terrorism suspects have no right not to be tortured as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially trying to justify killing because because of the satire humor against the prophet. I mean, it's completely wrong to try and justify something like that by just saying, oh well, it's insulting me and it's insulting what I believe, and therefore that justifies it.
Well, it's a dog whistle too. It's a dog whistle as well. He's trying to rally pretty much Christians, saying, "Hey, they did this here. They're going to be coming for your free speech next."
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, most Christians will come out and say that, oh no, the Levitical laws were only applied to the Israelis. We're under a new covenant now. Brian Fisher's the kind of guy that seems like he'd have a fucking hard on if he could live in a place with Levitical laws still.
Yeah, he's a disingenuous piece of shit. I mean, he says one thing and says another, two sides of his mouth. But I just posted a link in the side chat. There have been several attacks against French mosques since the magazine killings. Muslim places of worship in two French towns were fired upon overnight, leaving no casualties. Prosecutors said on Thursday, 3 blank grenades were thrown at a mosque shortly after midnight in the city of Milan. West of Paris, a bullet hole was also found in the window of a mosque in the Port La Nouveau district near Narbonne in southern France. Several shots were fired in the direction of a Muslim prayer hall shortly after evening prayers. The hall was empty, the local prosecutor said. An explosion at a kebab near a mosque in the eastern French town of Village Saône, or whatever the fuck it is, I can't pronounce it. On Thursday morning, also left no casualties. Local prosecutors have described it as a criminal act. France is on the edge following the deadly assault by heavily armed gunmen on satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo on Wednesday that left 12 dead. No link has been established between the attacks. So, I mean, yeah, obviously, and the fact of the matter is, what we're dealing with is that France is a very secular country. So I'm not sure if they're really even far more secular than America, just with regard to secularization, because it's more heavily influenced over there. So apparently, they're responding to it very negatively in that they're harming, potentially, Muslims who are more moderate on this issue that honestly aren't directly involved in this. So there's also that lean in there, not to generalize all of them. Make it clear that these are select fundamentalists that must be treated with in terms of scrutiny and caution. Yeah. But that's just the way I look at it. Oh, what you guys think?
For me, a lot of these instances, I can't understand the mentality of I just can't understand it. For instance, these the whole killing the people that wrote the cartoon. Well, from what happened from that is worse. There have been hundreds, I would say, or of people sharing cartoons now of Muhammad. That's worse. This is going to be now a shitstorm, right, of this stuff. So it's now sort of encouraging it, I would say, even more. People are saying, no, we're not going to be quiet. We're going to stand up and so I don't understand. I also don't understand how you would just kill or attempt to kill or just maybe harass random Muslims who aren't extremists, who you don't really know are extremists. I can't understand that as well. I can see why they're angry, of course, but although religion does play a huge part, these are extremists,
Yeah, they hurt their cause on both ends, like you were saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I really don't see like the issue with showing the prophet. I mean, Christians don't have a problem with this. I don't think Jews have a problem with it. Like having their like holy figures depicted and
Well,
stuff like
South
that.
Park covered
Hell,
this.
even in hold on, even in the United States, like with our Supreme Court building, we have like Muhammad like on the building. He's holding a sword and a Quran, and he's honored as like a lawgiver. He's embedded in the building. So I mean, that's just our defiance right there. All I know is I'm definitely going to be participating in Draw Muhammad Day because of this.
Right. Probably me too as well.
And I encourage listeners of the Wolf's Den Radio Show to participate in it too.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. South Park already covered this when they said, it was like, you can't draw our prophet, the Muhammad. And he's like, no, you can't draw him. We can.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not a Muslim. I am not one of God's chosen people. I don't have to obey his rules. I'll draw a picture of him getting a blowjob from Jesus Christ. Why not? Let's try and offend as many people as we can do. Let's make it Jesus Christ in a wheelchair with AIDS. I mean, that should really offend people. I mean, the thing is, right, if you don't know how to take a joke, you certainly don't then have the right to take offense.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, that's it's the only way to just maintain some of the semblance of freedom and democracy that we've actually established here in the West. I really don't. Let me make this clear. As a hard secularist, I don't have any problem with religion. It's fine. It's just not my thing. I mean, if it's great for you and it makes you feel good on a personal level, fine. It's just that when you start making claims in the public sphere about your worldview and its impact on society and whether or not it should be implemented politically or legally, that's when we have an issue, and that's when the need for scrutiny and inquiry on your claims have to be done. Otherwise, they're going to be rejected completely and actually voted against or made clear that this is something we don't want to be implemented.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but you have to also take into account that even though it may not be part of the law, Christians are still voting. So, I mean, yeah, I think if it's more kind of moderate or liberal type of Christians or Muslims or whatever, then there really isn't a problem, and I'm completely fine with that. I mean, yeah. If it floats your boat, then yeah, so long as it doesn't affect me, pretty much.
Yeah, so I think we pretty much I think we've more or less hammered this issue pretty well. There's just one more thing I want to mention. There's often been a word that atheists and secularists are only targeting like Christianity, and like we apparently have an intolerance and we don't go after other belief systems. I just want to make this clear. I went after all three of the Abrahamic religions. I'm not sure, if I went after every single one. Like just beyond that, I might be more frequent on that if I haven't been consistent enough with that. But I make it clear that I don't play favorites. I go after all belief systems that lack empirical evidence and reason, because that's how I roll. So any final comments on that?
We disagree with all of the same religions that they do, bar one. That's just it.
Yeah.
One is true. We don't. We don't care about any of them. The reason why Christianity gets such a hard time in places like America and Britain from atheists, guess what? You are the majority. You are the major problem. You are the one that's going to get focused on the most because you are the one that is about the most.
Exactly.
You're the one that then has politicians using that as an excuse to make nonsense statements about laws to fashion society to their way.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so we're moving on. Okay, so okay, yeah. This next probably last story. I'm not sure. Okay, it's about Dr. Phil, right? It's a late story that just broke recently. Okay, so apparently Dr. Phil is being sued by this guy. Yeah, let me just put the link in the side chat. Okay, now his name is Matthew Brush, I think. Yeah, yeah. He's a dude who says a detective planted. Yeah, yeah. He's a guy who said that a detective planted crystal meth in his home and appeared on the Dr. Phil show, and now he's filing a lawsuit against Dr. Phil for making him look mentally ill. Okay, now
I remember that.
Matthew Baruch or whatever says he appeared on the show a year ago to talk about stalking, right?
Yeah.
Baruch believes he's a victim at the hands of cops and others. Now, he said the show had a second theme, mental illness and paranoia, but he says he told producers the only way he'd participate was if they didn't make him look delusional. He says the show was cut to make him look crazy, so he's suing for $100 million. A representative for Dr. Phil tells TMZ, we stand by our broadcast. This guest was treated with the utmost dignity and respect, and every effort was made to help him find some peace in his life. We believe the attached clip speaks for itself. We will vigorously defend this frivolous and baseless lawsuit, and will pursue dismissal and our attorney fees. Okay, now that's basically the like the story general. Now I'm gonna play the clip to determine like just for ourselves, this guy is batch or not. Okay, I'm doing it now.
Street whistle that you see is not used very often. Now, as cars are going by me, you might notice they're going to start to slow down, and they're going to make right turns. There are just too many cars turning up. 3 straight cars and another one turning. That's 4 cars in 3 seconds that just turned on the street. Maybe he turned because of the traffic, but I don't believe so. But I'm also saying to those people that for whatever reason the car can be turning. Here's a gentleman. What the hell is this gentleman doing on the street? Look, he's not crossing the street because the light's going to change and he's not going to. He's looking around. Why is he looking down that street? Is he waiting for someone? Doesn't look like it. He is not happy about being in this car. It looks like he just gave this person a little wink. Don't worry, I got him covered. Another car. Wow, 2 cars in one.
Okay, now he's basically just looking. He's basically like on the street. I wouldn't say on the street. He's looking for multiple monitors, like of people on the street, like walking about and stuff like that. And he's just randomly like timing them and stuff like that. Like where are they going? What are they doing? Are they doing this and that? So I mean, it pretty much demonstrates kind of like like a bit of paranoia about this stuff. And you know, he's also said he had a history of drug problems and stuff like that. So you know, what do you guys think so far?
Well, I mean, reality TV is edited. I mean, documentaries, generally the person making them has an agenda which will slip into the documentary, yeah? So, you know, they will cut things and if they can make things look a certain way. And you can see it in American TV a lot, all of this reality TV. Like, even like the clips, they try and insist something's going to happen, and they'll show 2 clips together that look like somebody's reaction to something that someone said. Then you actually see those clips, and they're from 2 separate things.
Right.
And that's the problem with these things. Without seeing the raw footage, we don't know how edited that is, what contexts are what questions were asked of him, what did the producers say, because producers will do that. They have to get good television in order to get good ratings, in order to make more money, in order to get more money.
The other thing with this... Oh.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Saki.
I mean, the guy goes on the show claims that the government's out to get him, claims that the police are out to get him, claims that detectives planted crystal meth inside his house, says that he has hundreds of stalkers, and he believes that almost every single person he meets on a day-to-day basis is somehow following him. And even with all that stuff being said on the show, they never actually came out and said, it's like, man, you are fucking crazy, or anything like that. They just said that he was overly anxious. They didn't even play him up that way. But so it wasn't like they were slandering him or anything like that. It's not like they were doing anything really to hurt his character in that way. But the other thing I got to keep in mind is that whenever you go on any type of these shows, these reality TV shows in whatever form, you sign disclaimers. You are putting yourself out there. They're going to film you. They're going to edit it in whatever way they want, and there's nothing you really want to do. There's nothing you can really do about that. And if you don't like that there's a possibility out there of you being made look like an idiot, then you don't go on the show.
Or you film it yourself and keep your own raw footage.
Yeah, but you won't have as much publicity as they do.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you can show it out there that people will watch the Raws. Newspapers would love any good reason to bash television.
Right.
So they they'll be like, oh, it turned, Dr. Phil in hot water. That's a celebrity. That's scandal. That's great that's gossip right there. What news is more popular than gossip?
I mean, honestly, they looked at his case and they found that there was no evidence, like just with his claims of paranoia. And I mean, in my opinion, it's not. I wouldn't say it's necessarily slander to say that this guy is just generally paranoid. I mean, that'd be fair, just based on like what he's doing like this. And this isn't even like all of the clip. Like, there's more. Hold on, let's finish.
20 seconds turning. He just made, if you look carefully, he signaled to come. Did you see that hand motion? So we go back, and right about...
Hold on. Okay. There's another bit of it.
There was the hand motion. It doesn't look very scary from this video, of course not. But when you're living this and knowing what's happening, it's terrifying. So that proves what to you. Okay, by the naked eye, that doesn't prove anything to me. I know what happened before the video started. I know that I had been followed that day. Okay? I also know, when we said evidence is going to control the situation. Correct. What does that evidence show? That corroborates.
Okay, and okay, so he thinks that that circumstantial evidence of him looking at those people going about their business in that intersection, apparently that corroborates him being stalked and followed. And it's not, and the simplest explanation behind this isn't the fact that this guy's just generally paranoid and honestly he just needs to seek help for himself. Everyone's against him, and he just needs to sue Dr. Phil for giving his professional opinion. I honestly think this is a crock of shit, and this guy is legitimately that shit. And honestly, he shouldn't have went on the show if he was gonna get butthurt about the aftermath, because, dude, you're effectively a case study. That's the guy's MO.
Well, and I think when he came on the show, he actually even thought that Dr. Phil cameras were cameras for the government, if I remember the show right.
I wouldn't be.
So he was acting crazy. What the fuck? They didn't have to show him acting crazy. They just had to show him.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. I mean, this guy sounds like something we would probably find on YouTube. He would probably fit right in with the fundies and other crazy people we interact with. What do the rest of you guys think?
Well,
I mean, is it any surprise that a person that is kind of delusional and paranoid gets delusional and paranoid about his appearance on TV?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say a few things. Just because you're paranoid doesn't necessarily mean people aren't out to get you. And I mean, if he's been busted for drugs, you might find the police circling around his house, because the police get paid money to get results, yeah? Because results are what politicians need to win votes. So you're going to get things like policemen acting a bit like salesmen, in which they're targeted to get so many arrests. So that, they'll go and hang near that dude on that estate, the one that they're always arresting every other week for something. Because, he might have drugs. Not to say that the one time they went round he didn't have any and they planted some just to get another arrest. It's possible. He could be paranoid for a reason. I mean, that's always a thing. It doesn't necessarily mean he's unjust.
Right.
In some of that he might be overdoing it a bit and seeing everybody as a potential threat, but that doesn't mean there isn't actually some truth to what he's saying.
Yeah, no, paranoia can work like a cascade. I mean, you get paranoid, and then everything starts making you paranoid, and then everything plus everything makes you paranoid.
I honestly think this guy is suffering from agent detection overkill, in that, it's that's like the anthropological like principle that, okay, that we evolved that sense of being able to kind of cognitively detect like basically intention in nature, right? Like whether or not if there's like a tiger like waiting behind a bush, you either think, okay, you either believe that it's like it's either like a small like shrew coming out of that bush and it's gonna be fine, or maybe it's just a wind, or maybe it's a tiger. So you either think that that's it's either like what's better evolutionary speaking, that you're paranoid of that bush and you think it's a tiger, or it's just a wind. I mean, obviously you're going to think that it's a tiger more likely, probability speaking, and you want to stay the hell away from that bush because you don't know what the hell it is yet. So I mean, you could make that justification on that level, that there's always like a need for skepticism and like paranoia on that level. But if you're in doubt, maybe. But it's another thing. It's another thing to say that therefore, the government's evil. It's after me. All these random people out on the street want to get me. Let me put cameras all out so I can see them and they can't see me and all this. And it's complete nonsense. I mean, honestly, this guy is legitimately batshit in my view.
Oh, we used to call it the meth monster. Meth will make you paranoid as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it can stay even after you've stopped doing it. You can be clean for years and it still affect you. It's rewired your brain, kind of, so to speak. So
yeah, especially when you're loaded on heavy ass drugs.
Right.
We're more likely to see shit like Patrick Coleman, that shaman and that alien guy or whatever, and psychic.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go on shows like this, you better make sure that you have your case isn't something that'll make you look like you're either insane or just a jackass. I mean, because like this is what the guy does. He gives his professional opinion on things based on the observations and the data that he's looking at. So if it's gonna come out with you looking weird in some way, maybe you want to take that into account before going on TV, genius.
Yeah, but I mean, these people, the reason why they're a bit weird in the head, a lot of the time they don't consider their behaviour weird. I mean, these people can have things like Asperger's and autism and never truly understand why they don't quite fit in. And that can, thanks to other factors, lead to some, very bizarre consequences.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. There are ways in which it can function perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand some people be paranoid about like the NSA or like the IRS or like whatever government entity that like integrates with you in life, but that's just the way the society works and how it's regulated to maintain society. I mean, yeah, there are legitimate like political and legal cases where it can be argued like too many eyes and stuff like that. But when it's really subjective and the arguments and evidence are completely circumstantial, and it's more likely that you're just batshit and you just need help like on your own level, then it might be something you might want to look into. But that being said, honestly, we're done with the story. Moving on. Okay. I think we got time for one more video. Not video, but a story. Okay. Let's see what we got. Bobby Jindal. That is it's an aspiring GOP presidential candidate for 2016. Okay. Basically, he says without social issues, Republicans are just cheaper Democrats. Okay. Now, this Jindal guy, who's like a representative from a governor of Louisiana, he basically says that Republicans would not be able to win the White House in 2016 if they did not take a strong stand on the issues important to social conservatives. The GOP is not the only party that fights for smaller government, lower taxes, school choice, and energy independence. It's the party that fights to protect innocent human life and traditional marriage. Recent polling in Iowa indicated that 46% of potential voters in the Republican primary consider themselves to be evangelical Christians. The reality is, I'm here today. This is all his stuff, by the way. The reality is, I'm here today, Jindal told the exclusive audience, because I genuinely, sincerely, and passionately believe that America's in desperate need of a spiritual revival. I love to quote Winston Churchill. He said, "You can always count on the Americans to do the right thing after they've exhausted every alternative." That's where we, as a country, we have tried everything, and now it is time to turn back to God. He then recounted how he turned to his parents' Hindu beliefs as a teen after realizing that on the last page in the Book of Life, our God wins, our God beats death, our God beats Satan for us. Conservative radio talk show host John Michelson told the Register before the speech that Jindal had to be able to speak the dialect. This is a crowd that can hear whether he speaks the right language with the right connotation, with the right context. After the speech, Michelson said he was impressed by the governor's performance. He's not bilingual. That's his native tongue. He will give Mike Huckabee a run in Iowa. Okay, wow. Okay, so this guy basically thinks that arguing against gay rights and reproductive rights is like apparently what's gonna get him like the 2016 presidential bid. And honestly, this guy hasn't been paying attention to a lot of the statistics and the data, because just by the way it looks, more people are looking outside of the traditional Republican right-wing politics, just when it looks at when you're looking at the empirical data, because the majority of people are more and more cool with gay rights, and the fact that it's not something that impacts other people. More and more states are actually fine with passing its legality. And with regard to things like abortion or contraception, people are more leaning towards the latter. And in certain circumstances with abortion, when it's forced, like by rape or incest, that is taken into account, because that's by unknown variables, of course. So honestly, this guy is he's really just what he's really working with is sort of like that whole American constitutionalism, that whole this is God's country, and it's and we need to get up and start leading it. Honestly, it's playing at heartstrings and really tired sound bites, and doesn't exactly look good from here. But what do you guys think? Curious.
He's a fucking idiot. That's my thoughts on it. I've watched him. I know who Jindal is, and he is a fucking idiot. That is the stance that's the only stance left for them, and it's the only stance that they can take without contradicting their own ideology. I don't know where they would go with the social issue if they didn't go down that route. I can't imagine.
Soccer's Bart. What do you think of this?
I just still can't believe how many people haven't heard a lot of the things that these founding fathers of America said that was sort of like against Christianity being the foundings of America, against, you know, it being a Christian nation. In fact, a lot of them don't know that all of this "In God We Trust" stuff is a fairly new thing.
Yeah.
The problem is there are a lot of people who are ill-informed and thick as pig shit in America, because America needs to stop buying so many fucking guns and tanks and weapons and start buying more books and schools and better educational structures.
That there's communism.
You know, it's
in certain circumstances it fucking helps. Jesus was a communist. Deal with it.
Yeah,
it always amazes me with these guys, so that you know, the career politicians, where you can tell that, you know, so much of their life has been, you know, spent towards shaping themselves up to be, you know, role in politics. You know, between his conversion to Christianity and, you know, the stances he takes on certain issues. I mean, shit, it's like this carbon copy of every single Republican candidate out there. You know, Jindal has a 100% pro-life voting record. He opposes the legalization of same-sex marriage. Oh, he's very strong support for the Second Amendment right to bear arms. You know, it's just this is why you know, politics don't go anywhere, because, you know, you have to have this template first before it feels like you can you know join the Republican Party, and then they come out and wonder why, you know, people you know, object with them on certain social issues. It's because every single one of these characters is just a fucking carbon copy of the last.
Well, you need to have practicality when it comes to politics. I mean, you need to have like a plan. You need to know what the hell you're talking about in order to get it done. And, you know, this guy obviously, and, you know, Stalker, you're actually right. I mean, this guy is a carbon copy. I mean, you know, look at Rick Santorum. I mean, you don't think he was speaking on the same stuff not too long ago? And, you know, when it came to getting a presidential bid, did he get it? Hell no. I mean, why? Because, you know, he was speaking about, you know, he was talking about a message for which he had no nuance, and because of that, you know, it was, the energy he was giving off was so unfamiliar that he almost got little to virtually no, you know, recognition when it came to, you know, being treated as like a presidential candidate for the right wing. You know, in fact, he actually, you know, when it came to that whole, you know, gay sex being equivalent to man on dog, I mean, bestiality, you know, he was actually mocked for that, and, you know, just he went off into obscurity. He was briefly noted earlier this year, but other than that, he's just you know, he's a shadow of his former self. You know, 2012 has passed, and so is he did. And, you know, honestly, if this new guy doesn't get his shit together, you know, with regard to like building an actual political message for people, he's not going to get it either. He's just going to end up the same way.
Do you know what I always say? Never trust a politician who's religious.
Right, especially or to have a clear view about what the objective facts are.
I mean, how would you even know? I mean, shit. If you came out as an atheist or an agnostic or just any non-believer in any sense when you wanted to run for office, and especially in, you know, well, in the United States, your chances of getting elected drop, you know, pretty drastic at that. You know, down quite a bit at that point. I mean, the fact that I'm up there with the camp that, you know, believes that a lot of the politicians out there might not even be religious, but they have to lie about it. You know, they have to put, you know, God on a platform if they want to get elected.
But the point there, but this is the point I'm making. It doesn't actually matter whether or not religious. If you know that they're religious, if they're selling their policies off of your kind of like your religious leanings, yeah, they're trying to manipulate you.
It's not that they're trying to manipulate you to.
No, that's why they
No,
pick those certain things. Why do you think they're saying, and I've never had an abortion, and I support the Second Amendment. You can vote for me, Jeb Henderson, to be your candidate.
I mean, it's true,
Look,
but I mean,
I'm
it's not
white.
that just that they're trying to manipulate it that way. It's just the pressure they get if they don't. I mean, what was it? I can't remember what the Democratic convention there, where they were keeping a tally count of how many times God was mentioned, compared to how many times it was mentioned in the Republican convention, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, Republicans said God more often, therefore Republicans love God more, and Democrats are just dirty Satanists. You know, this is what they have to put up with. So, you know, they have to spin the media in a certain way. So just like, okay, let's just throw God a few more times into the sentence.
Wow, Chet.
I mean, honestly, I'm just with the data, I'm just glad that there is a secularization going. I mean, people are looking more outside of religion for the issues that objectively impact us all. That's actually what I'm
The
looking forward
problem
to.
is, right, anybody who wants to hold the Bible up as a reference book has several major issues. You can go through the Bible. It is not a medical book. We should go with biology on that. It has way more explanative powers about medicine, as does chemistry and like biochemistry. They can explain what does what to the body in what way that makes things good or bad. That help extend our quality of life. And extend our life as well. So you then go into other areas. It's not got a comprehensive thing about transport statistics in London. Yeah? It's not got planning permissions for the perfect way an intersection should go for heavy traffic usage.
It doesn't even have a good reference about DNA. Honestly,
it has no actual explanatory powers to anybody unless they're a simpleton.
Yeah, honestly, I would really hope that these politicians would focus more on the importance of scientific research and the need for education. Secondly, just emphasize and better, build upon like what the younger generation is dealing with, so they can, come up with some, better innovations that could lead, could lead the free world to, some kind of, better revolution than what we have now. But that's something we actually have to build up and aspire to. That's what we have to actually apply our reasoning skills to, because they're not divinely ordained. They are natural, the result of millions of years of evolution to produce something interestingly, more infinitely complex. But honestly, that's the way I look at it. Okay, and with that, I'm done with this shit. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Wolf's Den Radio Show with Xbox Fiend, with Soccer Count, Hades, Chaz, World Almighty. Any last words for you guys to say?
Nope.
Yeah, don't vote. It encourages them. Right,
all right,
piss off. Right, no, right. Everybody, when it next comes time for your grand elections, what you need to do is write over the form in a Sharpie, "Shut up, bastard," and put that in the voting box, yeah? And when they get something like 80% "shut up, bastard," then they have to hold things like referendums, in which you can then demand your country back from a small elitist group of middle-class snobs.
Crazy. All right, this has been Wolf's Den's Radio Show. Check us next Friday, same time, 5 o'clock to 6:30. And that being said, dare to know, and later, bitches. We're out. Bow, wow, wow. Bow.